What's going on, everybody? It's T Reaper, and I'm back with another video. I know I have not done a video in some time, and last time was a little bit of a educational PC, kind of I told you so video. Last time I said I was doing the Division. I started the Division, got to level 11, then all hell broke loose in terms of life in general. Then Sekiro Shadows Die Twice came out, and then we started to have some decent fun with that. And we are still working on that right now. And part of Sekiro Die Twice story has to do with the little story I'm going to tell my audience of this channel, of my brand, those who know me both on Instagram and Twitter, those who have, the decency to have conversations with me, might want to hear this story. So this is going to be a long one, and hopefully this brings a little insight and a little bit of education to those who thought otherwise. So, I was born in '89, and I started gaming around 93, 94. I was never really, when I was younger, I was never really, into video games per se. I was never even introduced to technology. And then I grew up in Texas, and then from kindergarten all the way to about first grade. And then my mother remarried, and then my stepdad was a tech whiz and was a software engineer, and he basically came down to Dallas where we were staying, and he had a laptop with him, and this laptop had this really cool Lion King, because remember this is 93, about to be 94, this really cool Lion King math game that my mom was having fun teaching me mathematics. So he had me play this really weird math puzzle game that had Timon and Pumbaa on it, and I was instantly fixated on this freaking laptop. So I loved this laptop to death. And then, fast forward a few years later, my mother married, had a few children, and then we were then living on the East Coast, and back then it was all N64 and Sega and Windows, but I mainly played on Windows, so I was more into those old shooters like Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Quake, and Diablo 2 was the prime of my life, or the prime of my PC, loving, era, and I played that game for so many nights. And my mom she basically did not like video games, and she thought video games were the devil. So kind of like, back in those eras, video games tried to get their kids to go outside rather stay in front of the television screen, right? So my childhood was always, you can play video games just as long as your homework is done, or just as long as the lawn is mowed, or make sure the leaves are raked. So I didn't really get as much video game freedom when I was younger as I do now as an adult, which is kind of also part of the basis of this story. But, I always, in my early days, I always liked, those shooters, and I always liked those quick-paced, fast-paced games. And then, throughout my years, whether it be, on World of Warcraft, or Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, or Halo, Combat Evolved, PC Edition, and the wonderful frickin' 007 Nightfire on OG Xbox, and it just drove me absolutely insane on how much adrenaline rush each, competitive, match that I played, whether it be a custom match with my friends or, a 1v1 with a random, would be awesome adrenaline rush. And that's what first made me love, FPSs, gaming, and that's what always drew me to, gaming in general, was always that adrenaline rush. Now, the adrenaline rush was awesome, but I only got it from FPSs or, competitive first-person shooters that I could actually, adapt to and actually have fun with. So Halo became my, my glorious thing. And then later when I was an adult and I understood how fun Call of Duty was, because I was never really, I never really adapted Call of Duty until Modern Warfare 4. And then I played pretty much every single one that came out ever since then. I didn't like every single one, but some I could basically deal with, and then some I could not. So it was like a love-hate relationship. Halo, I like every single one's storyline. The multiplayers, I'm a little bit different on. And nowadays, the only ones that I'll play are Halo 2 Remastered, which is on MCC, and Halo 5. But, as the years go on, my addiction becomes more and more prominent, to the point where my love for Halo 2 and Xbox Live that had just been born at that time was just absolutely, insatiable. Every night after school I would want to come home, play Xbox Live, and play with these random people from all over the globe, because back then Microsoft servers were not on, different dedicated servers. They were all on one basis, so everybody be on the East Coast talking to a person in Japan. It would be absolutely amusing, because on the opposite side everybody would be in game chat and everybody would be speaking Japanese, and everybody would be speaking on the opposite side speaking English, and it'd be absolutely amusing as fuck. But at the same time, that was the childhood that I grew up with. And then when I was about 15, anger issues ensued. I got taken away from home, and I never really reconnected with gaming until the last 2 years of the 360, generation. My parents kept up with the 360 generation, so every time I could visit home, I would always be playing, Halo 3's multiplayer or Halo Reach's multiplayer, you pick. But, I never really, I lost touch with my skill, my skill connection until I was basically, old enough to regain it. So I lost a lot of time, and I always knew that when I was a gamer, this adrenaline rush that I played games for would eventually die. And I was just wondering when and how long it would actually take. But it was actually a really interesting concept on, to test, all the way from the early 90s all the way up to, I want to say now. Because the whole thing about Sekiro Die Twice, and this is something that I think is really funny, is it's not hard by natural design. It's hard by game design. So the fact that it's so realistic on how you block and parry and the buttons that you press. Yes, you could remap these buttons. If you want to use that argument, you can. But I don't really like to do that, because normally if it doesn't work by default layout, which is normally always the best controls, then that basically means you're just not fast enough to do it, or you just are not good enough to do it. You pick. And, people are saying this is the hardest game they ever played. I want to say this is the hardest adrenaline game that I have ever played. I will not say this is the hardest game in general, but I will say this is the hardest adrenaline rush that I ever played. Because if I can't even build up enough adrenaline to basically, actually handle one boss fight, that's absolutely insane. And I love it because the mini bosses that I face, I was able to beat, but it took forever to kill them. Certain situations I just can't do because I am not fast enough to press block or to press strike, and the timing is so precise and so insane that it's absolutely amazing to me. But the adrenaline rush is beyond my body's control. So imagine your heart pumping like 2 miles an hour, and you legitly have to calm yourself before that adrenaline rush goes down, before you can try it again. But I am actually having a lot of fun watching it being played, because I have my best buddy always come over my house, try to do it himself, and he still can't do it either. He can do it a little bit better than me, but he can't actually, he keeps dying. Right now we're on Lady Butterfly and we're having so much fun, but it's just insane because neither of us can do it. And I'm like, wow, did gaming really advance to the part where you really need super reaction to do it? Or is it just a matter of tactical, precision that people have to learn to adjust. And I personally think it might be a mixture of both. I don't really think it might not be that I'm not fast enough. I think it's just that I have to learn exactly how to do it correctly. But that's just what I think. But, you know, I always play games for the adrenaline rush. That's why I always prefer to play FPSs, you know. That's why, as long as games give me something to enjoy out of the adrenaline rush that I get, which is normally competitive FPSs, I do not play Battle Royale. I do not do that. I do not like doing that. I do not support that genre, and I do not like it. And that's just me. That's just my personal preference. You can hate me for it. You can, you know, can shame me for it. But, you know, I don't like BRs at all. I just don't like that genre. I am much more with the classic version of multiplayer, which is one reason I enjoyed Crackdown 3 so much. But at the same time, you know, I understand that that might be the future of gaming, and you know what? If that's the case, that's fine with me. But you know, you won't see me. So you know, you'll see me try every BR that comes out at least once. But I'm not going to indulge in it. I'm not going to make it my pastime, and I'm not even going to personally, you know, like it unless you like show me a cool like, you know, 5+ kill streak in a row, and then you know win BR. That'd be awesome. You know, then I'll like that post and move on with my day. But it's not something that I personally like. But again, that's just what I think. But that's just, you know, a personal story. But yeah, that's how I basically started gaming, and that's kind of what the reason why I like gaming so much. But overall, I just want to say thank you for all the new Instagram followers, all the new Twitter followers. Thank you. All the popular discussions on Twitter, people. We are having so much fun. And it is enlightening my day so much to see how much people have common sense and lack common sense, need education. And I can do this around the clock, people. I almost never sleep. So just keep in mind, if you get into a Twitter thread with me and I'm awake and I'm in the mood to answer you, I'm going to answer you until you either give up, block me, or basically say you win. So, so just prepare for those who try to Twitter war me at the middle of the morning at something like 2:45 a.m. Eastern time. You know, I get a lot of Brit comments in the morning. It's actually really funny, but it's just like, yeah, man, don't start a war at like 2:30 in the morning if you don't wish to stay up till 6 a.m., bro. That's just me though. But thanks so much for the new following and the new support. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching this video. Leave a like, comment down below. I'll respond. This is Reaper, and I'm out. Pieces.